Let's talk about who is the divinity for love. That's a real fan. Peace and blessings. This is Derric RauKhu Moore. And I'm trying to go ahead and put together a little surprise. So you gotta forgive me if I'm talking too low. I'm trying to go ahead and turn the volume up just a little bit. But yeah, I got a surprise going on. But I wanted to go ahead and drop this real quick little video just to go ahead and let's talk about things from a Kemetic perspective. And that is, who is the divinity for love? If you say that it is Niphet, you're not right. Think about it again. Who is the divinity for love? Oh, if you said Hetepu, close, still not there. Who's the divinity for love? If you're thinking and you're thinking, and you said, oh, all set, close again. But the real truth, from a Kemetic perspective, the real divinity for love is Nebuchadnezzar. That is the supreme being. That's who the Neter or nature for love is. You see, a lot of us, we've gone ahead and we've kind of looked at things from a European perspective. Europeans, they like to go ahead, or from a Western perspective, let's be a little bit more precise. See, Westerners want to go ahead and they compartmentalize everything. So they say, oh, there's this goddess of love. There's this God for this. There's this God for that. That's not looking at it from a Kemetic perspective. From a Kemetic perspective, from a holistic perspective, all the nature deal with love. Yeah, think about that. You want to think about that and you want to keep that in mind, because every time we get into relationships, we're still dealing with love, regardless, even if you're dealing with the warrior nature, Eye Herokohuti, okay? All of them deal with love. Even Ebooks deals with love. They all deal with love. Now, the reason why you want to keep that in mind is because that means that you have all these different options to go ahead and pick from. And part of the reason why a lot of us, we miss this is because we forget, just like Westerners do, that love is not a, what do you call it? It's not a physical realm thing. It is ethereal. Okay? It's a very ethereal deal. That's the reason why you can't fall in love. Okay? That's the reason why you gotta have love. In order for you to actually really know love, you gotta know all the nature. All the nature deal with love. You're gonna need all the nature when you get in a relationship. You're gonna need all of them. This is the reason why many of us are failing in our relationships, okay? Because we're thinking that love is just basically the infatuation part. Yes, Niphet and Hetepu, they both deal with love. But that love is more like the attraction type of love, okay? It's like picking up a rose and you forget that the thorn is there. So, you know, when you get pricked by the thorn and it hurts you, what do? You ignore it. That's the infatuation love. And a lot of times that's what happens. We go in here and we get with this individual, or we like these people, they're attracted to us. You know, that man is attracted to that woman. You know, that sister's attracted to that brother. And then they go in here and they see all these red flags, those thorns, and they ignore it. Okay? That's what Niphet and Hetepu deal with. It's basically an attraction type of love. All right? They forget the part about the all set. Offset deals with love as well. Offset goes ahead and says, hey, I'm going to love this individual regardless. Just like I love a child, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give them unconditional love like a child. We forget about Offset. We forget about Hetepu. We forget about Hetepu, who goes ahead and brings us together. Goes ahead and every time you see something that is some kind of hiccup, we kind of laugh at it. All right? That's Hetepu type of love. You know, we laugh at the fact that those little silly things that, you know, sometimes they go in and they break up relationships. But if you look at it from an Hetepu perspective, Hetepu just goes ahead and says, hey, that's also part of love as well. You got to go ahead, you got to take the good and the bad together. Okay? We forget about how my aunt deals with love. My aunt deals with love by going ahead and saying, hey, even when this individual is acting a certain way, even when this individual, you know, when they're down and out and everything, they're not being perfect or they're not going ahead and representing their godliness, I got to have faith in my relationship. Okay? Herokohuti also deals with love by going ahead and saying, hey, let me go ahead and let me bite my tongue. Let me go ahead, let me cut my head. All right? And go ahead and do what needs to be done. Okay? So we can go all up and down and deal with all the Kemetic nature to see that they all deal with love, because they're all an attribute or all a manifestation of the nature, the supreme being. So we have to stop taking dealing with love, dealing with our relationships from a Western perspective, which is you just get attracted to an individual, and then if you don't like the individual anymore, let's cash them in, you know, or cash them out like you're at a casino or so. That's not how we do things from a Kemetic perspective. You got to look at it from a holistic perspective. Okay? So I just wanted to go ahead and wanted to drop that line before I go ahead and I get my little surprise going on for this celebration. Okay? Because we're dealing with things from a holistic perspective. Oh, and by the way, I wanted to let you also know, since love is an ethereal, okay, it's a spiritual quality, it's a spiritual energy. If you're dealing with it from a Kemetic perspective, what that means is, and stop dealing with it from a Western humanistic perspective. If love is dealing with all the natural, that means you got to tap into the divine in order to go ahead and deal with your relationships. You got to invite God in this. Again, we're not humans, okay? We're having a human experience, but we are gods and goddesses people. We got to function and we got to do things from a God and goddess perspective. We forget about this, okay? If you do it from a God and goddess perspective, they're almost woke. If you do it from a God and goddess perspective, then that means basically you're tapping into the divine. You're tapping into that higher self. You're allowing your ancestors and your spirit guides to go ahead and participate in this, okay? You're inviting them to participate in this, all right? You're going ahead and you're saying, regardless of what's going on, you're focusing on manifesting a positive and loving relationship. Yeah, you can even use that declaration and then repeat that declaration, and guess what? You change your reality. That's a God perspective. Stop listening to these people who are talking about they're breaking up because of this, or they're having all these kind of relationship problems because of this. Let them deal with their little silly mortal stuff, okay? We have to go ahead and we have to take care of business. Do things from a God perspective, from a God and Goddess perspective. Forgive me, sisters. Do it from a God and Goddess perspective, okay? This is how we make things work. This is the whole purpose. This is why you're here. This is why you're in Kemetic spirituality, okay? Stop listening to these mortals and dealing with things from a mortal perspective. Let's represent people. Let's represent fam. Let's do it from a God and Goddess. Let's really, truly step, okay? Or as the Coltrane said, let's do love supreme. There you go. All right? Hopefully that helped y'all, okay? Until next time, if you got any comments, questions, and suggestions, drop me a line, okay? Until next time, Hetepu. Peace.
No pretending, baby.